Dr. Henderson brought us a tremendous amount of information. Of course, he's been doing this for decades now. This is not something new. But we must recognize that, just as he said on Friday, he is not an enemy to America. He's simply giving America a warning, letting them know that the nations are waiting for the right time to attack you. They've been monitoring the activities of the U.S. for 242 years of their admission. Not only that, but the additional time of close to 1,000 years that they have been on this soil, being the Europeans. And the scripture even says that after 1,000 years, that the reign of Lucifer's offspring would be over. What we're dealing with right now, family, is the entire changeover from the system of old, or the system of Satan and Lucifer, into the kingdom of Yahweh, the kingdom of righteousness. He was talking about the gangsters last Friday evening. I went and looked up a list of those gangsters to see who they were, where they came from. And many of you, that, especially those of you that consider yourself white or Caucasian, we are not against you. But the fact of truth is, it has been the Caucasians that have set up the system of control, global control. And so we can't deny that truth. And you've got good and bad in everything that you do. So it's not a racial thing, it's a bloodline thing. Because the sins of the fathers will be carried down and visited upon their children for 14 generations and even for forever. So this is a system that has been set up for the destruction and control of mankind. When I went and looked up the list of gangsters, and he was explaining that they came out, most of them were from Latin-speaking nations. And I looked up the last names of these people. One thing they had all in common was they were all white. Every single one of them. Now, there were men and women. A handful of women were included in those lists of gangsters. But the majority of them were men. Some were of German descent, some Italian, and some Irish. But just as he said, none of them were from this land. They were all foreigners. He was talking about how the majority of the Caucasians from America will not be allowed to go back to their home countries, their countries of origin. Because everyone knows that if you were a Caucasian, you did not come from this land. You were from Europe. Not being allowed to go back to your country of origin is known as, basically, you become a person non grata. A person non grata simply means that you are unwelcome by foreign governments. So if you do not belong on this land, which you don't if you're Caucasian, and you can't go back to your home country, you become someone without a nation. Which is why it is extremely critical that you must index yourself and be identified if you're planning on staying here. The doctor was also talking about something very interesting that was regarding assault drones, and that they have the capabilities of targeting specific people and even their addresses. Those drones are controlled by AI. He did mention the fact that those of you of the Caucasian race have placed yourself to be recognized, not indexed. Don't confuse to be recognized with being indexed. Being recognized means that all 198 nations recognize that you do not belong on this land. Now, we can thank Barack Obama for creating a terrorist watch list that truly encompasses everyone and everything that can be divided into a group. It's not only white people, but black people too. And he recognized, he being Barack Obama, everyone on the planet as a terrorist. Therefore, with the U.S. notating everyone as a terrorist, if you're not indexed or identified, they will be classifying you as a terrorist picking you up and putting you in the FEMA camps. Again, I mentioned earlier that even in our area here in Arkansas, that our governor passed an executive order stating that massive traffic, when I say massive, I'm talking in size, she used it for saying that they were going to be moving temporary housing into the FEMA camps for people that had lost their homes during the tornado of March 31st. That went through Little Rock and then on up to the northeast a ways and into another city that was hit as well, but the majority of the damage was in Little Rock. By removing the laws that were in place for wide traffic on the freeways, the highways, and being able to move them 24/7, that gave FEMA the capability of moving these temporary housings into place very quickly. Because we are under martial law, as Dr. had explained to us, we've been under martial law since the year 2000. And because of that, many of you have had police break into your homes without warrants, etc., and that was because we're under martial law. Now, recently, we're seeing a lot of military movement, tank movement, etc. So things are heating up in that area of martial law. But to get back to what he was explaining to us about these drones, so I went and found information on them. They happen to be, one particular one, I'm sure there's more than just one, but they're autonomous. In other words, they don't have to have human interaction for them to function. They're controlled by AI. One of them happens to be a Turkish-built Kargu-2. It carries an explosive charge. After explaining to us that they could be put into fully autonomous mode, hunting down their target, again, without human intervention. Let us know that they have names and addresses of their targets. So these are the things that you need to be aware of, family. I'm not saying this to put you in fear, but you've got to know the truth of what is actually going on. So again, family, what is happening is everything is heating up at this point in time. Doctor let us know that we are entering the time of the beginning of sorrows. This is what has been written in the Holy Scriptures, that this time would come, and this is where we find ourselves now. No, there's not going to be a rapture where we're taken out. That was something that was made up by the Catholic Church, and it's not even written in Scripture. It simply lies in manipulation. So those of you that think you're going to escape what is coming, you need to think again and prepare yourself. Again, identify yourself, family. Get yourself indexed. You can go to the sovcpr.com website. And everything that you need to know regarding the indexing status is on there. There's a tab at the top of the homepage called Indexing with a couple of drop-downs. That information is there for your use. If you have any questions, feel free to call me, 501-681-2386. We do have some people on staff that will be happy to answer your questions as well, and they're on that one first drop-down with the indexing page. So you can go ahead and send your questions to them. They'll be happy to answer them for you as well. So we've got a lot of things going on right now, and a lot of things coming at us, and we've got to be ready for them. And I found something quite interesting, family. In my studies of fulfillment when Yahushua Mashiach comes, one of them happens to be Micah 5:2. In Micah 5:2 it says, "But you, Bethlehem, Ephrathah." Now the word Ephrathah I looked up, and Ephrathah simply means a specific region surrounding Bethlehem. And it goes on to say, "Though you are little among the thousands of Judah, yet out of you shall come forth to me the one to be ruler in Israel, whose goings forth are from old and from everlasting." Now you may not know this, family, but there happens to be a Bethlehem, Texas. Now Dr. Henderson, Yahushua Mashiach, has already let us know that Israel is in Texas. In fact, the DFW area is New Jerusalem. Old Jerusalem was down towards Waco, Texas. Well, since Bethlehem, Texas, is a region, okay, I looked it up on the map. It really is still nothing more than a white spot in the road. But it's equidistant from Dallas, New Jerusalem, and Dr. Henderson, Yehoshua's birthplace in Webster Parish, Louisiana. It's right smack dab in the middle. In fact, drive time to both areas from Bethlehem is literally within minutes of each other. So if you put a pinpoint on Bethlehem, Texas, and used a compass and just drew a circle around it, you find it right smack dab in the middle of the area in which Dr. HENDO I.L. Henderson, Yehoshua Mashiach, grew up. So what has been written about when he will come back is being fulfilled. And doctors already let us know that the scriptures that were written were for a time to come. And we are in that time to come right now. So everything that has been written is being fulfilled before our very eyes. Every knee will bow, and every tongue will confess that he is who he says he is, and there is no other. America, wake up, because you are in the bullseye for everything that has been written concerning the fall of Babylon. With that, I'd like to go ahead and yield the call to Dr. HENDO I.L. Henderson, the ad hoc Chief Justice of the Universal World Court. He is Yehoshua Mashiach, the Son of Man, the Son of God. Rise and shine, sir.
Rise and shine, how do you hear me?
We hear you quite clearly, sir.
Outstanding. I want to say quickly that this is the United States call in which we have designated for a group or a number of people, or if we might even classify them as I would say a country of people, because it seems that the United States of America has, for its own purpose, it has created a country for itself inside of 5 other nations. For some strange reason, they just deemed it necessary that they needed a country. They needed an area that they could call their own, not recognizing that there were already 5 nations there in that area. And even though, yes, they fought against one of those nations, they didn't win. They were not successful against that one nation. However, they began to pit those nations against each other. In other words, they created a situation where those 5 nations began to fight each other in regards to believing that one nation or the other had negotiated with those that were known to be demons in the land, the white men. And they began to believe that they were all somehow connected to the white man when they all was actually doing the exact same thing. They were fighting against the evil, wicked tricks and manipulations that would be so-called world in which the white man was bringing to a nation of people, 5 nations. These white men believe that they could claim, and they still believe to this day, that they can claim anything that they want as long as they can put the people against each other. Called chaos, and they believe that by causing chaos, you will divide those that are there, and to divide those people that are there, you can be able to then conquer and take over. And they really truly believe that. However, on the other hand, now 198 nations began to build together in order to destroy that very ideology. They're going to destroy it off the planet. Right now, the United States president, if they might call him that, Joe Biden, has taken a trip once again to Europe. And the more and more that the United States, I would say, media see him going overseas, they're actually believing that America is carving out for itself some would-be so-called economic system or some trade system or some system that's going to be able to bring them out of the repressions and the depressions and all of the things that they're going through now. They're believing that that's why he's taking all those trips to Europe. On the other hand, those nations know that he's only coming there because they refuse to come here. They do not want anything to do with this land right now because they believe this land is being cursed by the white man, as we so speak. And they want nothing further to do with it. Nothing. Not until the white man has been totally eliminated off the land. And that's why you have men like Joe Biden, men like, I would say, the Clintons just went over to Ireland. Every one of them are going over to negotiate. All of the so-called would-be White House representatives have been in groups this year. The past 4 years, the American group out of the White House has numbered in about 24 different groups. And these same 24 groups are claiming now that they're going to be able to destroy Vladimir Putin. Again, I'm going to say so the whole world can hear it right now, and I will do it tomorrow as well for the United Nations call. Vladimir Putin don't have to worry about some international laws or some would-be criminal court. There's an international criminal court. They also had warrants for, and they still have warrants for, the one they keep calling Pope Francis. They have a warrant for his arrest. They have a warrant right now for Queen Elizabeth II's arrest. They have one now still for one known as Pope Benedict. They have all kinds of would-be so-called warrants right now for arrest. They got a warrant for would-be Barack Obama's arrest, International Criminal Court. They got a warrant for William Jefferson Clinton's arrest, International Criminal Court. They have a warrant, yes. They have one for George W. Bush Jr., his arrest. All of them are under the same would-be criminal, we might say, crimes. The same ones they're trying to accuse Vladimir Putin of, and they want to believe that the International Criminal Court should be arresting him, but yet still they haven't been arrested for the same crime. Crimes against humanity, crimes against human rights, crimes that will be classified as war crimes, crimes that are to be brought to a tribunal court and be held accountable. All of those men that I just named, and women, all of them have been warranted, or they have been placed under a warrant that should be right now in jail, to include Joe Biden. There's a warrant for Joe Biden's arrest for criminal crimes that have been levied against humans based upon the war. But he also has incurred, or if we said he has inherited, all of the would-be crimes in which were committed against the humans of the United States of America for the past 700 years. We know it's 1,000 years. They only claim 250 years of it, but it's all a crime. Human rights crimes. Crimes in which has a non-statute of limitation. That means that those crimes never end. They never go away. And someone must be held accountable for it. That someone is those who were in charge or in power during that time. Let's face it. So right now, Mr. Vladimir has nothing to worry about. I'm talking about Vladimir Putin, not Vladimir Zelensky, because he's under the same would-be so-called warrant for an arrest. He's being protected by the United States of America because they're actually trying to look past their own crimes by helping others that are in the same criminal would-be so-called activity. That's why all of these meetings are taking place so frequently now. Because everyone is whining. Everyone is trying to find some way around he or she's crime so they don't have to be held accountable. And they just believe that they can get a strong enough group together like the NATO group. And I have to say to NATO right now, all of them are also under criminal accusations, human criminal accusations, based upon human rights violations. Right now, everyone's screaming about Israel because they're having a reform or thought to reform their law, to reform their would-be so-called judiciary system, their authority system. And everybody's claiming now that Israel is finally about to move into what would be known as a dictatorship. When the whole world already knows that the dictatorship has already been in place. It's been in place since the United States of America finally came to the table and sit down where they were going to work peace with all other nations. That's when dictatorship began. And all nations are aware of that now. No nations are afraid of it. All nations are now prepared to put an end to it. Dictatorship. Well, all the nations have been lying to one manipulating nation, lying nation, undermining nation, money laundering nation. A nation has been stealing funds from the whole entire world and claiming that they have been so wealthy that they've been somehow giving charity to the rest of the nations. You can't give something that you got from someone else and claim it to be your charitable deed or your charitable would-be so-called contribution because you stole it from another nation. That means you still owe. Now, I'm saying this all because this particular night, we're not going to take up a whole lot of your time. Matter of fact, we need you to be well aware that what everybody's about to go through, as I said, is about to get worse. I know it seems like it's getting better. You got those people that are claiming that the Bitcoin is going to save everybody and that the Ethercoin will probably come up, Ethereum coin. They believe that they're going to find some currency that's going to save the so-called would-be economy and thrust everybody back into a winning world of nothing more than survival. Not going to happen. Not going to happen. There's too much debt out there right now in order for them to be able to do that. And everyone knows that when you go bankrupt or when your business fails, just because you put everything out on a discount shelf doesn't mean that you're going to ever be able to get enough funds to rebuild yourself. Not going to happen. And if you're believing that you can move down a few doors from the doors in which you once had a pretty good business, but you never made any money, so you shut it down and gave up discount prices and moved into another would-be smaller room and believing that you're going to be able to advance, not going to happen. And that's what America is believing that it's going to do. Not going to happen. The nations that are claiming that they're going to sit down with you and negotiate, all I got to say is one word. Obadiah. Obadiah. You might want to check into Obadiah, because it's right there, telling you that they're going to tell you that they want to be your friends. They're going to say that y'all are allies. Or they're going to be so in agreement with you with everything you're talking about right now. And then you're going to have your White House dinner. And every one of them are going to show up. They're going to sit down. They're going to dine with you. They're going to eat with you. Only that they might be able to cut your throat. Stand in the book. As my host, our host now is telling you that I'm bringing you nothing more than, I would say, the prophecy, as you would say, of the holy book. I'm bringing you the prophecy of all of the holy books, because all of the holy books are stating and have the same story done. They might be a little bit different based upon the characters in which they use in order to be able to gain your attention or even your acceptance. But it's not going to change. America is going to be uprooted. It's going to be a nation that will lie in ruins. It is going to be a nation that will never ever rise from those ruins ever again. So that I make sure they understand all of the nations now that are claiming to be united will lie in ruins. Never to rise again. All of them. I know their leaders don't like hearing it, but at the same time, you got the United Kingdom. They've already come to that conclusion. You got Europe united. They have already come to that conclusion. You know, there's others that's using United, Euphrates, They're claiming to be united. But I just told you, all of the United Nations are going to crash. I know they're trying to get some so-called would-be United African Front. It will crash. It's not going to be successful. Why? Because you can't mix Canaanites along with freemen and expect for anything to come out of them. Canaanites, Hittites, Hamites. I'm just giving you some of the would-be smaller tribes names, so you understand that if they're mixing with the Canaanites, uniting with the Canaanites, they're going to be terminated. I know this recently everybody's been talking about the Moroccans. The Moroccans are known as the true Moabites. The Moabites are going to be terminated. The real Moabites are going to be terminated off the planet. It's already written in the scriptures. It's not me saying it. I'm just telling you what it says. It says they will not be allowed to enter the kingdom of God. They will be destroyed outside the gate. It's in the book. Don't get angry with me. It's in all the holy books. In all of them. And for those of them in Morocco that wants to claim that God had a change of heart at a certain point in time and he allowed them, wrong answer. You ain't going to find that in no book you look into. You're not going to find that in no God's heart that you're going to find. It's not going to happen. I know I have to tell the truth. I can't compromise with you. I must tell you the truth. The United States of America will lie in ruins. It will never, ever rise up again. Not from the ashes, not from the dust of the ashes. Will it ever rise again? I know right now they're going through the Olympiad and all these other things, and some people are celebrating. They're happy. They're so joyful about what's going on. And I can tell you right now, no offense to those Olympiads, those people that are competing, but as words will say, you're getting the group of the junk. You're not getting the best of the best. No offense. I'm just telling the truth. You're not getting the best of the best. The best of the best won't even compete because they know that what's going on now is going to be disastrous. They already know that. You got people now that leave the Wilmington would-be so-called tennis court just because they want to go use the restroom. And they scream and tell the umpire that's where they're going. I ain't going to take a dump. You can do whatever you want to do. Call my ball out. You can disqualify me. You can do whatever you want to do. But right now I'm going to take a dump. Because there is no more respect, no more honor to what's going on. No one is really taking it serious. And they can't because they know that it's only a matter of time now before it's terminated. Terminated. Now, I've already given you my word, so let me complete this. We're not going to go any further tonight because there's so much stuff that you need to hear, but I refuse to say it without letting the rest of the world know about it. Because it's that American radio trying to hide and cover up, pretending to be keeping secrets within the house, that they don't want the rest of the world to know all the chaos that they're bringing to the rest of the world. But they got one thing now that they must be aware of. All the nations already know. All the nations are playing them to do it. But if you force them to do it, they will be so out of control. You can eliminate them in a matter of hours. Jerry knows that. America has been losing every war that they've been fighting, and every war they have fought, they lost. They don't want to war yet. There's those that will argue that. Well, we won in Vietnam. No, you didn't. You're still in Vietnam. You're still losing in Vietnam. They're still bringing back remains from Vietnam. You don't ever hear Vietnam saying they're still bringing back remains from America, do you? No, you're not going to, because they're not. You haven't never heard Vietnam say anything about losing the war, because they didn't. They didn't lose. They won. You never heard Koreans say anything about losing a war, because they didn't. They won. Even though they split north and south, they still did not lose the war to America or to any other nation. Iraq, did not lose the war to America. You know why? Because they're still fighting. They're still winning. America says that it believes that it set up the government for Iraqi. Why is it that they can't tell Iraqi anything to do if they set that government up? Because they didn't. Iraqi chose another leader and they moved on. And it was not an American. Iran. Everyone now is in fear that they're building a nuclear bomb. They already have. They're now some saying they're just waiting to test it. They already have. It worked. So what? The United States of America, you are on the verge of annihilation. I told you before, I'm not your enemy. Matter of fact, I am the closest they're going to come for your real security of your land or your would-be family. I am. I'm your security. Once again, I'm going to ask you to identify yourself. Place your identification card that you have now in your pocket on the ground. Take 5 steps, 5 paces, I would say, back up. I'm only going to kneel down and pick up your card. That's where you can't be trusted within 5 paces. So I need you to back up 5 paces so I can pick up your identification card. And then I'm going to ask you advance to be recognized. If you cannot recognize or cannot be recognized, I'm here to tell you, you're going to get eliminated. Not by me. Those who are watching over me. Those who are watching around me. Those that even may be watching beneath me. And I know for a fact, those that's watching above me, they're going to annihilate you. You can't identify yourself. I got work to do. Don't want to take up any more of your time. Got a lot of work to do. So like I already told you, we're always going to be truthful with you. Other things that need to be done this particular night. I looked outside my window. It's dark. Real dark out there. But there's the candle burning. There's a little old man that's watching over that candle, and right now he's telling me, let them have what you've given them. That's enough. They're not listening. They're stiff-necked. Hard-headed, stiff-necked people. But I ain't going to reach out and grab them with a strong arm. And then they'll know. It's for real. In the meantime, let me say, you've already earned your rest. You're worthy of it. Go ahead and get it. You're going to surely need it. But the world's about to get shook up. And with all that shaking that's going to be going on, you got to be able to stay on your feet. The only way you're going to do that is with rest and strength. Meantime, peace and love, and nightfall.
Thank you, Joshua. And family, before we sign off, and I yield to our family to translate, just as he was talking about the destruction of Moab, Numbers 24:17 explains how Yehoshua Mashiach was going to deal with them. It says, I see him, but not now. I behold him, but not near, because this was written quite some time ago. But it's talking about Yehoshua Mashiach. It's saying, a star shall come out of Jacob, and a scepter shall rise out of Israel, and batter the brow of Moab, and destroyed all the sons of tumult. So there is your fulfillment, family. Well, I looked outside my window, and yes, it's dark out there, so you know what that means. We all have a chance to get some rest. Take it. Use it. You're going to need it. We do have the World Global Reset United Nations call at 10 a.m. in the morning. I look forward to being with many at that time as well. In the meantime, go ahead, get your rest. We always leave you with John 17:14 through 17. I, Yehoshua, have given them your word, Father Yah, and the world has hated them, because they are not of the world, just as I am not of the world. I do not pray that you should take them out of the world, but that you should keep them from the evil one. They are not of the world, just as I am not of the world. Sanctify them by your truth, Father Yah. Your word is